All right, let's talk about something we all struggle with: breaking bad habits. Those things we do even when we know we shouldn't. If you've ever felt like you're stuck in a loop you just can't escape, then you are in the right place. We're going to get into the psychology of why it's so incredibly hard, and then lay out a real, practical roadmap to finally get back in the driver's seat.
Oh man, this is it. Last time. How many times have you said that to yourself? You promise yourself you'll stop, only to find yourself doing the exact same thing a few hours, maybe even minutes later. You delete the app from your phone, and then you're right back in the app store. You toss out all the junk food, and then you're back in that aisle at the grocery store. It's so frustrating, right? But believe me, you are not alone in this. Not even close.
And let's get one thing straight right off the bat. This has absolutely nothing to do with you being weak or lacking willpower. A bad habit isn't some kind of moral failing. It's a neurological loop, a program basically, that's running in your brain. And to break free, you first have to understand how that program even works. So every single habit you have, the good ones and the bad ones, they all follow this exact same four-part cycle. It's like a little feedback loop running on autopilot in your head. It starts with a cue, that's the trigger, like, say, feeling stressed after a long day. That cue sparks a craving, a desire for some kind of relief. Then comes the routine, which is the bad habit itself, like lighting up a cigarette or grabbing a sugary snack. And finally, you get the reward, that little hit of short-term relief. And boom, the loop is complete, and your brain learns to do it all over again next time.
So what makes this loop so darn powerful? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. Your brain is hardwired for immediate comfort. It's not really built for long-term growth. So when you feel something negative like boredom, stress, or anxiety, your brain's first instinct is to go, quick, find a solution. And that solution is usually a quick hit of a feel-good chemical called dopamine. That little dopamine rush is the reward, and it literally teaches your brain to repeat that behavior next time that cue pops up.
And this right here, this is the core of the internal battle. Your brain, the primitive part, only remembers the immediate pleasure of the reward. It doesn't care about the guilt that comes an hour later. But you, the conscious you, the part that wants to grow and be better, you're the one left dealing with all the consequences. And this is exactly why just trying to use willpower to fight your brain is almost always a losing battle. Okay, so if pure willpower isn't the answer, then what is? We need a system. We need a plan. And that's what this is. This 6-step action plan is your roadmap for actually rewiring that faulty loop in your brain. And it's based on strategies that are proven to work. So we're going to cover how to become aware of your triggers. We'll talk about the golden rule of replacement, why you should design your environment for success, how to build momentum with small wins, the power of accountability, and maybe most importantly, what to do when you inevitably slip up. Most of us try to break bad habits with just brute force. But willpower? It's like your phone battery. It starts at 100% in the morning, but it just runs out as the day goes on. So the first step isn't to fight harder, it's to get smarter. It's time to become a detective of your own mind and just start noticing. So here's a really simple exercise for you. For just 1 week, every single time you find yourself doing that bad habit, just pause. No judgment, okay? Just write down the answers to these questions. What was the trigger? What time was it? How were you feeling right before? And how did you feel after? What were you trying to escape from? You're not trying to stop anything yet. You're just collecting data. Once you see the pattern, you finally have power over it. This brings us to probably the biggest mistake people make. They try to just stop doing something cold turkey. But here's the thing. Your brain absolutely hates a vacuum. It will rush to fill that empty space, often with another habit that could be just as bad or maybe even worse. So the key here, and this is so important, is you can't just remove a habit. You have to replace it. You have to give your brain a new, better routine that still delivers some kind of reward. So if stress is your cue to smoke, your replacement could be 5 deep breaths. If boredom is your cue to endlessly scroll social media, maybe your replacement is reading a fascinating article. You see, you keep the cue and the reward, but you just swap out the routine in the middle. All right, step 3 is about designing your environment for success. Listen, your physical space often has way more influence over your actions than your motivation does. So the key is to stop relying on discipline, which we know runs out, and start relying on design. You literally engineer your space so that the good choice is the easy choice. And these are super simple, but they are so powerful. If you want to stop eating junk food, just don't have it in the house.
Make it harder to get. If you want to stop scrolling in bed, charge your phone in the kitchen overnight. Make your bad habits inconvenient and make your good habits so obvious you can't miss them. This brings us to step 4, the power of small wins. So many of us fail because we go way too big, way too fast. We're like, that's it, I'm never eating sugar again. And then we burn out in like 3 days. But the secret to lasting change isn't some heroic burst of intensity. It's consistency. Small, tiny, repeatable actions. They build momentum, and they give your brain a steady drip of positive feedback, which helps lock in that new habit. Look, trying to do this all alone is really, really hard. And that's where step 5 comes in. Accountability. You know that saying, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems? Well, accountability is your system. Tell a friend what you're doing. Join a support group. Use an app. Just the simple act of knowing someone else is paying attention can be an incredibly powerful motivator, especially on those days when your own resolve is kind of shaky. And let's be real for a second. You are going to slip up. It's going to happen. Everybody does. But the difference between people who succeed and people who fail isn't that they never make mistakes. It's how they respond to those mistakes. One bad day does not erase all your progress. It's not a defeat. It's data. Ask yourself, okay, why did I slip? What trigger did I miss? How can I tweak my system? You learn from it, you adjust, and you get right back on track. So we've gone through all these practical steps, but underneath it all, there's one core engine that really drives all lasting change. Because if you're only breaking a habit because you feel like you should, that motivation is going to fizzle out eventually. You have to connect what you're doing to your deeper why. What's your anchor? Think about it. Are you quitting smoking just to be healthy? Or are you doing it so you can be around to see your kids get married? Are you trying to stop scrolling just to be more productive? Or is it because you want to build that life you've always dreamed of? This deeper reason, that's your real fuel when things get tough. So please remember this. Breaking a bad habit isn't a one-time event where you either pass or fail. It's a journey. It's all about progress, not perfection. And every single time that temptation hits, you have a choice. You can remind yourself that the person you're working to become is way more important than this fleeting temporary desire. So forgive yourself when you stumble, adjust your plan, and just keep moving forward. Because step by step and day by day, you are literally rewiring your brain and becoming the person you truly want to be. The only way you can actually fail at this is if you stop trying altogether. So don't stop.